You are a rarity in the corner office in America, and it is something that so many people want to see change. Not only are you a female CEO, you're a minority CEO. Where do you fall on who has to make the change and how it is going to happen so that there are more women like you represented in the top echelons of corporate America?
Right. So I totally agree with you, but it starts with the top of many companies. It has to start with top leadership. I can tell you that even with myself, I have to live it also. My executive team is very diverse, and I make that a priority. I demand it of my team and within the structure. And then every now and then you have to nudge your partners and you have to speak up and speak out. And I try to use my platform for that, to remind people. I try to set an example. I mentor many women inside my company and outside the company because I think it's important.
And in hiring, do you demand it when you're hiring for the top spots?
Absolutely. And not only that is I talk to my suppliers about it. Just today we met with a supplier and the entire other side of the table was all Caucasian male. That was interesting.
What did you say?
Interesting. Well, I decided not to talk about it directly with his folks in the room because there were actually no female levels down. So I'm going to place a call to him.
Sam's Club, Walmart's membership-only warehouse, is the nation's the nation's 8th largest retailer. There you go. The company boasts more than 47 million members in the U.S., earning $57 billion in revenue last year. It was created in 1983 to help small businesses. Sam's Club is now teaming up with Gallup for a new poll focused on American businesses with 5 employees or less. Forbes named President and CEO Rosalind Brewer one of the world's 100 most powerful women in 2013. She's with us once again in Studio 57. We saw you last year about this time. Welcome back.
I did. Thank you for having me.
So when you were here, you said your goal is to grow it into a $100 billion company. We just heard the figure. Are you on track?
We are. We are on track. We're excited about where we are. What we're focusing on right now is to make sure that we get this digital transformation to happen with our business, and so our online business is growing nicely, and so we're looking forward to this $100 billion mark for us.
You know, it's incredible if you think about the changing landscape of the grocery business, etc., because, as you mentioned, Amazon Prime is getting into that. What do you mean when you say you're refocusing your digital?
So for us, we've always had a samsclub.com, and we've sold online, but we do think that with 620 units in the U.S., that's the number of clubs that we have in the U.S., we think that there is a business for us that combines both. Currently, you can buy online and then pick up in club and have your delivery ready for you when you're there. We think that there is more work to be done in that space where we combine what happens online and what happens in our clubs. So really making it easier for our member to access goods the way they want to access goods.
I assume online will take an increasing share of your revenue. Will contribute an increasing share to your revenue.
Yes.
How will the balance end up between in-store and online?
Well, we're seeing both. Really, our members still like to come in and shop. They love the thrill of the hunt and the excitement of finding something new in the club. You'll never take that away from the average consumer, but there is still growth to be had online.
But the balance between online and in-store will be, 20% online or 50% online?
It could be 20% online, and we would enjoy that. We would enjoy that.
Tell us about the poll that you all did with Gallup and Sam's Club looking at women in business and smaller businesses.
Yes, so we just initiated some work with the Gallup Industries, and we're conducting a study now on a regular basis that helps us look at these micro businesses. And this is an area that's not looked at very often. These are businesses that have 5 or fewer employees. It is growing. Right now, it's up to almost 50% of these micro businesses are run by women. And the exciting thing that we're seeing with this is that the women are so excited about this. They're maintaining their day job, but they're plowing a lot of their personal cash into getting something started. And these are the businesses that we all enjoy. Those cupcake shops on the corner, the pizza shops, and those kinds of things that really are the areas we want to see grow.
You women have a great instinct for entrepreneurial activities.
They do.
And why is Sam's Club interested in these micro businesses?
We're interested because, you know, when we started 30 years ago, we started to really, we began our company just to focus on small businesses. And so this was our core for a good number of years. And so we maintain relationships with small business owners.
Can I ask you about Mary Barra? You were both on the Forbes list. You were both on the Fortune list of 100 powerful women. I would like to know how you think she's doing, and do you ever feel the pressure? Forbes did an article yesterday that women executives face double bind pressure. Do you feel that? And how do you think she's handling this crisis?
You know, I've been really impressed with the way she's handling this crisis. She's doing what I think is a phenomenal job under some really tough circumstances. I've been impressed.
Apologize and make a commitment to the future.
Absolutely. She's totally committed to
Do you feel double bind pressure that, you know, she's criticized as a woman, praised as a woman?
I believe there's likely some reality to that, you know, so I think I'm empathetic to what she's going through.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Onwards to 100 billion. Let us know when you hit that number.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Breakfast Club was interviewing Jamila Lemieux and Amber Phillips. I just had to clear up this bullshit that I happened to see. Just check this shit out.
Yeah, black women under 50, like black men are our #1 source, #2 cause of death. And that comes from rhetoric.
For black women. The #2 cause of death for black women is black men.
Yeah.
Hold on, where's that stat from? I gotta look that one up.
We all know the platform that the Breakfast Club has. Shit! Social media, period. Because anytime, any given day, anything can go viral and influence the people that have watched that video. And Amber Phillips and Jamila Lemieux gets on the Breakfast Club and tells these viewers or listeners that black men are the #2 leading cause of death for black women, which is total bullshit. And it's crazy because Amber Phillips is a feminist, a product of the same organizations that helped dismantle the Black Panther Party and other black organizations in the 70s. Think about that for a second. Intelligent as this woman is, she knows the truth. She knows that those statistics or numbers aren't facts. They just know that most people refuse to go get their own information and go get the truth. They rather believe someone else and get the information from them. Because if you do some research, look it up, you'll see the #3 leading causes of death for black women in America. And #2 isn't domestic violence. The #2 cause of death for black women in America is cancer. #3 is AIDS/HIV. #1 is heart disease. I just know that these women are smart enough to know that themselves. And I'm trying to figure out why would they get on social media in front of millions of viewers or listeners and tell that fucking lie? What motive do you have? What is your agenda? Or is there some personal hate there towards black men? Whatever it is, don't believe me, a journalist, feminist, anyone. Get your own information. Stop allowing people to lie to you and tell you what they want you to believe, and stop accepting other people's ideologies and what they've been indoctrinated into. Please, we have to start getting our own information so we can know the truth. And let's be real. The cause for most black deaths around the world is systematic oppression. If you want to be real about this shit, I wonder who ass they picked them numbers out of. They on the Breakfast Club on some Tommy Lawrence shit.
Now let's get into Amber Rose and her slut walk. Now she put on Instagram, "I've never been torn down so bad by women, LOL, WTF. I'm having this slut walk for all of us to not get torn down by men. And instead of you girls researching exactly what a slut walk is, you're just calling me a slut. SMH, we need to do better. Me dancing and having fun doesn't make me a slut or a bad mom, but cool. Judge me if you wanna. I come from extreme humble beginnings and I've always been the same girl. I'll continue to live my life and make a change however I can." Now her slut walk is in LA on October 3rd, just
Nobody
so you
cares.
know.
Listen, I'm not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary, right? But if you are a person who is organizing a slut walk, you are the organizer of the slut walk. How could you be mad if somebody calls you a slut?
I mean, I guess what she's saying is research exactly what a slut walk is.
How about change the name? It don't have to be a slut walk. It could be a woman's empowerment walk. It can be, you don't have to call it a slut walk. There is nothing empowering about the word slut. You cannot be mad if you organize a slut walk and then somebody says, look at all those sluts walking.
Well, I guess the whole point of it is
there's no point.
Take away.
Shut up. Shut the F up forever, Amber Rose. There is no point. Call it a woman's empowerment walk. You can empower women without calling them sluts. Where is this perverted mindset that we have to take all of these phrases that are negative and make them something powerful? Why? Nigger, slut, bitch. Why? Why? There's a lot of words in the vocabulary you can use. Call it a queen walk.
A queen walk.
Why not? Like, Jesus Christ, stop it, man. That sounds so stupid.
Listen, I'm just telling you what she had to say on her Instagram.
Listen, that's why you shouldn't talk on Instagram. Instagram is for pictures. That's why I be telling these girls.
And that is your rumor report. I'm Angela Yee.
Some girls need to be seen. We don't care about your thoughts. Just post the pictures of you twerking on the truck and don't speak. Please.
Okay.
Gosh. Well, all right, so I guess it's not a good time to bring up my thought walk I'm having.
You ever wonder why some girls have more followers on Instagram than Twitter? Because we'd rather see you than hear your thoughts because of things like this. That's all I'm saying. God bless you. Right. I wish you the best.
Okay, all right. Well,
that was the rumor report, I guess.
All right.
With now, some colorful commentary.
For Angela Yee's thought walk that's coming.
Don't American students opt for the tougher math and science classes?
It starts, I say, we get what we celebrate. So why don't they go? We don't teach well. I mean, so teachers have to actually improve their ability to teach and engage. We don't use technology to an advantage. We actually don't incent or celebrate the right things. Celebrating the right things is an amazing incentive for people to
engineers are not as celebrated as, say, any basketball player who's in the end. You clearly saw it as an option as a kid. My mother saw it as an option. My mother said, first and foremost, that your job as a child is not to forage for food or, keep yourself safe. That's my job. Your whole job is to perform well in school, to learn, and to be successful. And success was not monetary success. By the way, it was never even mentioned. Money was never even mentioned. It was contributing to the world. Her statement was you have to actually leave behind more than you take. And that's called a successful life, right? We've actually really distorted this a lot. Now a successful life is how much money do you make, how many people do you manage, how much power do you have? And there was a time, and immigrant time, when immigrants come and they say basically my thing is my family and making them contribute more, give more, have more to give than I had. And we've changed it now. We've made it such that, rich, you have to be rich. And there are easier ways, I got to tell you. No, there are quicker ways, riskier, but quicker ways to get rich. If you want to get rich, don't study math. If you want to get rich, you could do something that's a lot less legal, a little higher risk, but a lot less legal. But if you want to contribute to the world and leave more behind than you take, and literally rest at night with a good heart, you have to do something of value. Why don't kids see those options today?
We don't teach them those options, or that. It's not about, think about it. What do they see on TV? What do they read about? What do they see in the street? Sports, drugs. We don't teach. They don't wake up saying, "Ooh, I think I want to be whatever." We teach them this. So I think you start back to the very basics. What you do in your home, what we celebrate, what we pay teachers, all of the things that we know are gaps to just good, basic, civilized behavior. If we just step back and look at those, I think we'll be able to make progress here. Everybody has to do their part, and not everybody can do their part, so you have to share. Not every family, not every child has a caring family. Okay, so if they don't have a caring family, we have to build a caring infrastructure to take the place. People say, well, that's not my responsibility. I say, okay, then look at the island again. Just keep, as a person who has, and as people who have an intelligent mind, keep the big picture in view, and you'll be, I think, working towards the right outcomes. And the way to get people to believe is you've got to tell them a story that actually that they're in, that looks good. Has to be successful, and they should be in it. And that's what the whole thing is about. And, you have 140,000 people. If they thought that the story was horrible, or they thought they were not in it, then we wouldn't have any buy-in.
So that kind of brings up inclusion, right? And can you talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion at Xerox and the values there? I've heard you speak about this before.
This is a tough question for me because it's become, and I hate to say this, so ordinary. But we're not anywhere near great. So it can't become ordinary, right? I have to continue to kind of gin it up a little bit and disrupt things, because if we settle into where we are now, which is better than most companies, but way behind. I mean, if you look at any representation number of women in the population, Hispanics in the population, we are so far behind. But we happen to have a good process, a process that got us to this point, which is what I would call very good. And that's one where it started a long time ago, way before I came on board. I had very little heavy lifting to do on this subject, because I'm the product of a guy who said, he was looking out his window. He said, look at all these people walking around doing gardening. He would go to the store, he would see women. He'd come to this company, this little company he started called Xerox, and he saw only men, all looked just like him. And he said, well, this seems to be a bad math equation, right? So if there's a lot of other people out there, we're not talking to any of them, we're not engaging any of them, they could be good employees. So in this little town called Rochester, he decided that he would engage that. And then we had a couple of real big crises where we had race riots and stuff, and he said, for sure, we have to move that forward. For sure, we have to include these people. These people are value-creating people, and if they're not part of the story, right, if they don't see themselves in a story that's successful, then they turn on you. So what he did was he actually started, 60, 70 years ago, including people, odd people, black men. And he got some women in, he got some white, some black women in. He got a lot of people, and then the snowball kind of just grew and grew and grew, and so it became fairly natural for us to include, to search for different types of people. One of the things my mother used to tell me was that history matters. History matters. And most of the things my mother told me I didn't realize were smart until I was an adult, right? When she was telling me before, I thought she meant the history books. But she meant history, people's memories matter. One of the biggest challenges that we have with transformation is that we have a very strong, very deep, very long institutional memory. And that memory opens up possibilities, but if it's not tuned correctly, it closes down a whole lot of possibilities. And so if you think about our company, most people would say you're the copier company. By the way, not the people outside, the people inside say we're the copier company as well. They don't like to say it, but they actually feel it and believe it. So as we had to move our business along, and I'm going to talk about what along meant, we had to be prepared to recognize history but not depend on it for our future. And the number of people in our company, that's the biggest challenge, the number of people in our company who really believe that we are giving up things or destroying or disrespecting a memory or some person historical. It's amazing to me that most of my conversations are not about how hard it is to do services, which is what we're moving to, but how differentially I'm focusing on the services business versus the technology business, or how differentially we're funding this. It literally is, but we should use that money to develop another XYZ, which is a printing machine of some sort, versus expanding into services. So it's this idea that we can actually do both, to the extent that we need to do both, but also stop doing a whole bunch of things that people no longer value, even if it's the thing that made us famous to start with.
Next, we're going to turn to history being made in corporate America. For the first time, an African-American woman is going to head a Fortune 500 company. Ursula Burns, who once worked at Xerox as the executive assistant to the company's CEO, will now be the CEO. She takes over July 1st. Here's Kate Snow.
At the Rochester Institute of Technology this afternoon, the incoming CEO of Xerox spoke to the graduates.
I can assure you that no one at my commencement was pointing at me and predicting that I would become the CEO of anything. Women presidents or CEOs of large global companies were non-existent at that time. Black women presidents of large global companies were unimaginable.
50-year-old Ursula Burns joined Xerox in 1980 as a summer intern and has grown up inside the company.
The old notion that work is drudgery is nonsense. Most days, even back when Xerox was under siege, I could not wait to get up and go into the office.
For the first time ever at a Fortune 500 company, a woman will hand the reins to another woman. In a letter to employees, current CEO Anne Mulcahy said Ursula Burns had been by her side as they turned Xerox around over the past decade. This may qualify as one of the smoothest and most telegraphed transitions in the annals of business, CEO Mulcahy wrote. In many ways, it is a Hollywood script. The script started here in New York City, where Ursula Burns lived with a single mother in the projects. One Xerox insider says she still has a tough New Yorker, no-nonsense style. She'll be faced with some tough decisions in the months ahead. Xerox revenues were down in the first quarter. In an email to Xerox employees, Burns said, "You can expect me to be a tireless and passionate champion of our time-honored values, but you can also expect me to be an advocate for change and eager to break a little glass when needed." She's already broken the glass ceiling. Kate Snow, ABC News, New York.
What would you say you've learned from Anne Mulcahy in terms of leadership?
It's all about everybody else. It's so little about you. It's all about the company. It's all about everyone else. And if you take care of that, if you make the company great, if people say, man, this is a great place to work, it's a great place to develop technologies, it's a great place to present value to customers. If you can get those words spoken about your company, then, and about your people, being great advocates for the customers, being et cetera, then you can actually become famous. But if you try to become famous, then almost surely it's going to be a disaster. So the goal, by the way, the goal hardly ever is. I think people now believe that that's the goal, but it very rarely is a CEO's to be famous. I mean, that's not. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, we've seen a lot more of that than not. But it's all about, if you want to be associated with greatness, it's about being associated with greatness, not about being great. Right? So the thing I learned from her is that you got to keep your eye on what's important here. The prize is this big Xerox, big red X, and then everything else will kind of fall into place.
We named my son Garvey X because we wanted to invoke the power of the legacy of these men who have done a lot for our people. And so as he's growing as a conscious young boy who's very culturally and socially aware about things, and he's also quite a feminist, we want him to know that he is going to be someone special and he's here for a reason. One of the things that I think is really interesting about my son is that he is very invested in social and cultural issues. I remember when Mike Brown was killed and I organized the National Moment of Silence, and he wanted to participate, but his dad was concerned, you know, for my safety, so didn't want him to be there. But afterwards, I started taking him to some of the protests and the rallies, and he had his signs, and he had his fist up, and he was there in the front lines marching with us, and he was very proud to be there. And then a couple of months ago, we were walking on 125th Street, and he just goes into this black feminist rant. It was the most amazing thing about how we need to protect black girls at all costs, and black girls are beautiful, and they're smart, and they're intelligent, and if no one else will protect them, I will. And it was just this whole thing, and it was in the rain, and I just kind of stood there and let him talk. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I'm thinking, it's coming from me. He's listening to what I'm saying. He's hearing what I'm saying. And it just reminded me that children are really, really open to whatever you have to teach them. And so it's up to us to kind of shape their minds in that way.
Mrs. Folorunso Alakija is a philanthropist with a sincere desire to help the needy. A fashion icon with an infallible sense of style, a businesswoman who has broken many uncharted territories, a friend indeed, a loving wife, a caring mother and grandmother. Educated in Europe, she first embarked on a career in banking until she took a leap of faith and followed her heart and creative calling to establish her own business in the Nigerian fashion industry. Supreme Stitches rose to prominence and fame within a few years, and as Rose of Sharon House of Fashion became a household name. As national president and lifelong trustee of the Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, FADAN, she left an indelible mark, promoting Nigerian culture through fashion and style. Ever the entrepreneur, Mrs. Alakija has forayed into related businesses. The Rose of Sharon Prints and Promotions specializes in monogramming and screen printing for promotional and gift items, while Digital Reality Print Limited specializes in highly technical digital large format printing.
Digital Reality Print Limited started off as a large format printing press on the 26th of September 2006. To the glory of God, the company has been expanding ever since, and we've been able to bring many services under its umbrella: monograms, heat transfer, signages, large format, digital screen printing, and of course, the offset.
She remains the only woman in large format to date. She oversees the Rose of Sharon Group as the Group Managing Director and is also Executive Vice Chairman of her family's oil exploration and production business, seeing to the strategic planning and day-to-day administration. In addition to these, Folorunsho is the Executive Vice Chairman of Day Spring Property Development Company Limited, a real estate company with investments in different parts of the world. She is a recipient of an honorary doctoral degree in business administration from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the United Nations Angels Award in recognition of her relentless work in social and economic development. Looking back on a lifetime of achievements, Folorunsho's foremost desire is to give glory to God and to share the secret of her success. A Christian since 1991, she draws her strength from her unfaltering belief in the power and glory of God, in a sincere desire to give to those in need in the name of the Lord. Her philanthropic endeavors, such as the Rose of Sharon Foundation, continue to positively influence her native land by empowering widows and their families, as well as orphans, to be successful through educational programs and scholarships.
At times when they drive me from school, when she tells them that I'm at home, I'm not in school, they help.
What we do for them basically is that we give them loans to help them out with whatever trade they're in.
God used them to help me secure this house, this place now that I'm living.
They picked me up, dusted me, they cleaned me, fortified me, gave me light, put roses in all around my corners. God will bless them. God will bless Mama.
This don't change. Mommy.
I believe that every human being has a role to play. We just need to find out what our fellow human beings are going through around us and try to help out.
In obedience to the Word of God and working according to His will and purpose, Folorunsho and her husband founded the Rose of Sharon Glorious Ministry International as a house fellowship, and it has grown to become a full-fledged Christian ministry. She has authored several books, including University of Marriage, Alone with God, a Christian devotional, her autobiography, Growing with the Hand That Gives the Rose, and The Cry of Widows and Orphans, some of which are purchasable on www.amazon.com. At 63, Mrs. Alakija oversees her businesses and philanthropic enterprises, working tirelessly with boundless energy, and follows her evangelical calling with unbridled devotion, hoping to inspire the younger generation with her motto, "Whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well." She now finds herself honoring invitations both nationally and internationally to inspire the public, most especially the youth and women from all walks of life, through motivational speaking. She lives in Lagos, Nigeria, with Modupe Alakija, her beloved husband of almost 40 years, and their 4 sons and grandchildren.